The Great Hinckley Fire was a devastating and catastrophic fire that happened in the town of Hinckley, Minnesota. The Great Hinckley Fire actually was part of two forest fires that were currently burning that eventually had merged over four other towns, including Brook Park, Sandstone, Mission Creek, and Partridge. A total of 480 square miles were burned to the ground. The fire happened on September 1st, 1894. The firestorm took place between 3 and 4 o'clock in the afternoon. A firestorm is a storm that can create its own weather. This fire only lasted about 4 hours. As many as 1,000 people total had died as a result. Only 418 were officially counted, as Native Americans at the time were not considered population.
And they figure that 418 count death toll is just the 3-day coroner's death tally. People were found days, weeks, months later, years later. People died days, weeks, months later from the effects of the fire.
I wanted to take all the first-hand accounts I could find and put them into the most descriptive account possible of what happened during the Great Hinckley Fire. So I put them together and I did a time coordination, and it was very interesting. It was almost like going back in time and taking a movie camera and recording what happened. And this one, I expanded it with more info on the Hinckley Fire, but the other fire, which is so much like it, the Great Peshtigo Fire, is in there as well. That was in 1871, October 8th and 9th.
Some of the heroes of the Great Hinckley Fire include James Root, Tommy Dunn, and Dr. Ernest L. Stepan. Tommy Dunn was an assistant-trained depot telegraph operator who wasn't even supposed to come in and work that day, but he came into work anyway. When the depot building's roof caught fire, he stayed at his post, sending and receiving telegraph messages alerting rescuers. He stayed way too long at his post.
He left a message that he felt he stayed too long, and he went out and he ran, and I don't think he got more than a few hundred feet and the fire overtook him.
James Root was an engineer for the St. Paul Duluth Railroad. He saved about 150 people after they climbed aboard his train, the Limited. He then backed up his train into reverse towards Skunk Lake, a lake that provided shelter north of town. Dr. Ernest L. Stepan was a local doctor in the area who made a name for himself, being at the bedside of many births in Pine County. During the inferno, he ran into burning buildings to save 20-plus children. He made sure these children made it to their parents and onto trains. He then boarded an Eastern Railroad train headed for Duluth. The next day, he later returned to Hinckley to tend to burn victims. There are numerous possible causes of the Great Hinckley Fire. One is that loggers at the time would leave slash, which is considered loose logs, and wood lying on the ground, lying under the relentless sun of the summer. In 1894, Minnesota was experiencing very hot and very dry air conditions due to less than 2 inches of rain that had fallen between June and August. Lastly, a cold front was passing overhead that eventually merged with the two current fires burning.
Fire was one of the most terrifying, horrifying forest fires in North American history.
For more information on the Great Hinckley Fire, you can visit the Hinckley Fire Museum.